Our final topic for tonight is about gun violence and theft. This topic will be led by Brother Mahmoud Qanyara.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أجمعين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Come on y'all, I need more energy than that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, when I speak, I have a rule. That rule is I need the room to be dead silent. I promise you, you won't feel no boredom in what I'm going to say. You're going to be alert. I'm going to promise you that. As long as you promise me that you're going to be silent and listening. Do we have a deal? Yes. Do we have a deal? Yes. All right. My name is Mahmoud Khanyare, and I came to the United States in the year of 2000. I went to middle school and high school as well. How many young people sitting here who go to middle school? So raise your hand. How many go to high school? Okay. So, I'm going to tell you a quick story about myself when I was in high school. So when I was in high school, in the beginning of high school, 9th grade, 10th grade, I was, like I said, new to the country, and I didn't know a lot of things that was happening. I didn't know what's up. I didn't know what was going on. So I started befriending some peeps. I was looking for a belonging, where I need to have like a belonging, someone who will care about me, someone who will, be my homie, my friend. I was looking for a belonging. So I joined a group of friends, and they started teaching me something that was not right when I look back. I want you to know that when it comes to gun violence, it doesn't start with pick up a gun and shoot somebody. That's not where it starts. You have to trace back to the beginning of a story, always. So I started befriending friends who would smoke, drink, and all these other things. But I didn't do it at that time right away. I started coming late to my house. Instead of me taking the bus, I would walk with my friends. And my parents and guardian would expect me at a certain time. And I would always tell them, I just walk. But while I'm walking, I was being taught something else in the streets as well. So in the 9th grade, my friends introduced me to something very simple. Cigarettes. The pack of Marlboro. So first they would smoke while we were walking, and I wouldn't do it. I said, nah, that's too much. They said, it's okay. It's not a big deal. After a week or two, they said, just try it one time, just one puff. And I would try one puff. Small. That's where, like the brothers were saying, that's where the shaitan comes. He makes you start really small first. Then after that, I got used to doing one a day. Then time went on, 2, 3, it became like 4 a day. And then after that, I moved to something called Black and Mild. Anybody heard of that before? It was old-time cigarettes at that time. It doesn't exist anymore, I don't think. So I started doing Black and Mild now, something new again. So I kept it going and going and going. And then after that, I started going to after school. I started going to the houses. And I would tell my parents and guardian, oh, I'm just going to a youth center. And I would get like a fake note, someone else will sign it from the school. And so I started going to the houses now. And they would teach me more things, more smoking things. And then when I went to the houses, they would also introduce me about going to after school parties where there's girls, drinks, and all that. And so I would have a hard time convincing my guardians going there. Because after school, after homework center, which I convinced them, but I was not there. Rather, I went to my friend's house. Now I would have to think, what would I do to convince them that I'm going to a party? So as you know, there's school events, school parties. So I just told my parents and guardian one day where there was a school event, I'm going to a school event, and there was a school event. But I didn't go to the school events. Rather, I went to another party. And so they introduced me to a girl. And eventually, that girl became my, there you go. So, I'm telling you reality things that happened to me. So now, I started to think like I'm all that, like I'm a G, which I was not. I felt like now I'm part of a group, part of a gang. And I felt a little like strength. I'm in a group. I'm strong. So when I went to school, I would act as though I'm strong. Like, I would come to school and say, yo, what's up? Come see me. That's what I would come to school as though if I'm tough. So one day, I got in a little argument with this other student who was another part of another gang. So he told me, why don't you come see me in the locker during lunchtime? So we would go to the locker room for 5 to 10 minutes. And his group are there and my group are there. And so we say, you're talking all this stuff. Why don't we deal with it right now here in the locker room? So, of course, we fought. I ain't gonna lie. I got little bruises at that time. My jaw was almost broken, but I did all I can, to get him back. So, all of this gun violence starts off from the beginning by participating in a gang. And they will lead you to a place where you don't belong. And you would see the other group as your enemy. Then it starts off as a fight, argument, fight. Then after school, you want to go to the house, do something to the house. Matter of fact, the other group one time came to my house, and I was scared. And luckily at that time, my older brother was there. So I told my older brother, please come out, because they're here to jump me. So when my older brother shows up, he says, get off, otherwise we'll get you. And so they leave the house. But they were always coming after me because I'm in a gang, in another gang. But when I was by myself, I would always notice that they wouldn't even come around me at all. But because I chose to be in a gang, they would see me as what? Enemy. They would see me as enemy. They would do anything to destroy me physically. And then from there, they taught me, how to steal things from stores, gas stations. In the early 2000s, it wasn't so sophisticated as it is now. You can't steal easily. But at that time, you can go to the store, get something out, and leave. But nowadays, it's hard to do that. So I started doing that, stealing things from different stores, departments, shoes, Air Force Ones at that time. Take the tag off. So all this craziness I have been taught from a what? Being in a group of gang. And as you know, dear brothers, today, we have different issues here in our community. We have an anxiety, which I had, depression, bipolar disorder. We have alcohol use, gun violence, addiction, mental health issues. But all these are problems after problems after problems. Correct? But I believe in solutions. Because solution takes away the problems. So one of the number one solution, which I'll ask you later, is first, the solution is to admit and acknowledge that you have a problem. So after years of me becoming, part of a gang, I finally had like a type of mentor in high school who would come see me every time and who would tell me slowly by slowly to get away from that kind of group and get away from that kind of actions. So the first thing I had to do is I had to acknowledge that I had a problem. And I was keep doing these bad things. Number two is collaboration. No single effort or organization or mosque can address this by themselves. It needs a collaboration of organizations, the youth, you the youth, and the parents. Number three, we need youth empowerment, programs and environment. Is that right? The youth need to be empowered. Youth generated should address the identified issues of young people, and it should be age appropriate with adult monitoring or structuring activities. When the youth feel like they have a lead position of programs like this, then when they grow and be more mature, the adults should decrease their involvement and serve as a supportive capacity so that you feel empowerment, that you can do this. You can run a program here in the masjid. You can be a lead of something positive. Maybe you can be a lead of a basketball team. Maybe you can be a lead of a soccer team, a volleyball team, a swimming team. You feel empowered. And the adults should serve as a supportive capacity. We also need parents' involvement, as Brother Qasim was saying earlier. The more involvement the parents are with you, the higher chance and advance our youth will involve in positive activities or positive interests. And then we also need program goals and evaluation. When we go through a program, after school program, it has to be positively monitored by your parents and by the ones who are giving you the program. What is the outcome of this program towards you? And we have to also utilize different resources throughout various communities. It could be, dealing with stress, dealing with trauma. Because as you know, when someone pulls a trigger to another person, another family, it's very trauma. It's stress. It brings a lot of stress to the children, to the family. And it will always be in your heart because it's someone that you loved. And as communities or leaders, when things like this happen, we have to be present and listening. Present and listening to what has happened so that you feel somebody heard you out to what was in your heart and not judging. Being able to give honest answers to the questions that youth have and creating a safe environment. Back to my high school. So I had a role model person who would mentor me after 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, and who would tell me slowly by slowly to get away from these activities. And when I was in those activities, I was also introduced to different music, rappers. At that time, I used to like 50 Cent, Snoop Dogg. At that time, those were people I look forward to in hearing and also like trying to be like them. But today, we have different rappers that the youth listen to. And I'm going to mention some names, and I want you to raise your hand if you know these names. Number one rapper, Lil Baby. Who knows their name? Who knows them? All right. Number two, NBA young boy. Who knows his name? Okay. See, I know what I'm talking about. I'm with the deal. Number three, Cardi B. Who knows her? Number four, Meg the Stallion. Who knows her? Now, let me come back to sports. James Harden. Who knows him? Kiwi Leonard. Who knows him? Trey Young. Who knows him? Now you can put your hand down. Okay, let me get your attention now. Put your hand down. All right. I'm not going to talk until you become silent. The reason why we know all these names is because, let's be honest with ourselves. Sometimes we like to listen to those songs because our friends are listening to it. And so it becomes like something cool. And that's how I thought when I was in high school, that I could listen to rap and do what they do. One day, my mentor taught me a good hadith. And I want to demonstrate this hadith. I need two young men. You, number one, bring a chair and come sit right here. Number two, you. Bring a chair and face that way. And two girls, yep. So I need two girls. All right, you with the glasses. Right here. And you, I need two chairs. Okay. So, most of you here have phones, am I right? Okay, today, let's say if a famous person, all the names that I just mentioned, example, let's say LeBron James. If he was LeBron James, how would you feel? Be honest. Let me take a selfie with you, right? You'd probably put it all over your social media. Same as your sisters. If she was a famous singer, like the names I just mentioned. No, like the names that I just mentioned. How would you feel? How would you feel if you were like next to a famous person? You'll take a picture with them, right? You think it's cool. You put it all over social media, Snapchat, right? See? Now let me go back to the Prophet's time. How many of you are 13 years old? Raise your hand. 13 years old, okay? There was a companion. Listen up. There was a companion. His name was Abdullah ibn Abbas. Who heard that name before? So you know, one day, he said, I was on the same mount or the same ride next to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So today, if you're on the same ride with LeBron James, how would you feel?
Maybe take a picture with him or something.
You'd feel famous, right? You want to be all over the place. But Abdullah ibn Abbas said, I was on a ride with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He didn't have social media. He didn't have Snapchat or Chat Snap, whatever they call it. But he said he was with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the same mount. So, I need attention now. So then, the Prophet got a hold of the young man. He said, oh young man, let me teach you some words. He got hold of him like this. Oh young man, let me teach you some words. And who's saying this? And who is he saying to? And Abdullah ibn Abbas was what age? 13 years old. Thank you. So he said, oh young man, be mindful of Allah and He will protect you. Be mindful of Allah and He will protect you. Sometimes we are mindful of other things. For example, I'm mindful of my car. I want to make sure where I park is the right park so that I don't get ticketed, right? I need to have that same mind for Allah. Whatever I'm doing, I need to be mindful that Allah is looking at me. Because there's two angels, one on the right, one on the left. The right one writes your good deeds, and the left one writes your bad deeds. Thank you. So the Prophet said, "O young man, be mindful of Allah, and Allah will protect you." Thank you. Number 2, the Prophet also said, "Be mindful of Allah, and you will find Allah before you." That means every step you take, you will be protected. But that is only if you're mindful. It has to be in your brain. And then sometimes we have all these issues. We have anxiety, we have depression, we have sadness, stress, loneliness, all these issues. So the Prophet said to Abdullah ibn Abbas, if you have something to ask, fas'alillah. Ask who? Ask Allah. This is a spiritual guidance. It will help you. I promise you. Try it. If you have something to ask, ask Allah. Thank you. And he said, وَإِذَا اسْتَعَنْتَ فَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. If you need assistance of anything, seek assistance from Allah. And then the ending of the hadith says, let's say if me, Daikh, Darajo, Sheikh Ahmed Tajir, the sisters, all of us, if we wanted to benefit this young man with something, it will not happen unless Allah said it will happen. If we made a plan, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, to benefit him, it's not going to happen. Why? Until Allah said it will happen. It was written for him. And if we all made a plan to this brother right here and say, let's take him down tonight, G. Let's break his jaw. If we made that kind of plan, it will not happen unless it was written. So always remember, everything that you do has been written for you. And going back to gun violence, it always starts from where? The beginning, the start, the small little things shaitan does, like the brothers talked about earlier. So always be mindful of Allah, and Allah will protect you. And be mindful of Allah, and you will see Allah in front of you, before you. Can we agree to that? From now on, we will be mindful of Allah. Can we agree to that? Yeah. And remember, always stay positive about yourself. Always know your potentials. Sometimes we always think that someone else's grass looks greener, right? Someone else looks better than us. Someone else looks this and that better than us. But we forget that we can't grow our grass without watering it. Am I right? You can't grow your grass without watering it. So I'm dear brothers and sisters, I'm happy that I was here today, and I'm happy that I encouraged you. And like I said, I had a mentor, and I promised, to be a mentor for young people. I've been helping young people for the last 15 years. So if you ever need a mentor and need someone to talk to, I can be one, inshallah. I can be one of them as the other brothers, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair. Raise your hand if you thought it was not boring. Did I fulfill my promise? Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.